Here we go. Hey, I didn't bring that up. Somebody else brought that up first. I didn't bring up pigeons first. Oh, it was only recently we got telephones. That's all I said.
Okay, so we're going to reconvene this meeting.
You can't tell this generator.
We need a proper storage of dealt with public meetings, and now we're looking.
You're not on.
Sorry, there I am. I am now. Hello. So we're reconvening the planning meeting. We have dealt with the public meetings under the Planning Act, and we have dealt with the consultative meeting. Appointments. There are none. Is there anyone wishing to address items on the agenda? Seeing none. It's not on the agenda.
Yeah, yeah, it's down further.
Oh, yeah, it is. Sorry.
We're coming to it.
I apologize. Yes, if you wish to address council regarding anything on the agenda, this would be the appropriate time for individuals from the public to come forward.
Yeah,
Oh, it's on the agenda. Okay, so seeing no requests to address items on the agenda, we'll deal with the consent agenda. And our consent agenda contains 5 items. There is the Regional Multimodal Transportation Master Plan. Item number 2 is the Site Plan Authorizing Bylaw for NGF Property. That would be at 5377 Elko.
That's wrong. Should be NFG.
There is an item 3 is for McFeeters Holdings, amending site plan agreement for file 21-105-001, 2009. There's a recommendation report regarding an amendment to the fire route bylaw on Griffin Place condominiums, and there's a recommendation report regarding the revision to bylaw appointing the deputy chief building official. And the recommendations for those are that the Planning, Building, Environmental Committee hereby approves the following consent items. That item 1 be and are hereby received for information, and items 2 to 5 be received, and that the recommendations contained therein be and are hereby adopted. I'm looking for a mover. Councillor Bilsma? Councillor Bell? Any comments regarding the consent agenda? Councillor Bell, were you looking to pull one?
I'd like to pull one. I just got a question.
Which one?
Do you ask me?
Okay, he's pulling item number 1.
Item 1.
So that would be the only item for receiving for information. So items 2 to 5. On items 2 to 5, those have been moved and seconded. Seeing no questions, all in favor? That motion carries. With regard to item 1, Councillor Bell.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Mr. Trouble. Item 1, under the current situation, they talk about the Niagara Escarpment Crossing, Bartlett Road, extension to Smithville Bypass. Question, Mr. Trouble, is what would be an estimated timeline for the outcome of this report? When do you see this report coming forward? With some timelines on there.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair. Sorry.
I'm waiting, sorry. I thought
Oh.
he was coming through me, so go ahead.
Got you. I was going to go through you, but I wasn't getting your attention. There is a page in the attachment from the region, and forgive me, I'm confused as to what page it is in our agenda.
Oh, here.
It's got 72, 45, and 47 all on the same page. Must be page 72. I think that would be our page numbering. It's a map that's labeled 2041 Road Network.
That's right.
That shows, as an example, an extension of the Niagara Escarpment Crossing coming up on what would appear to be probably Park Road to Mud. And it shows a bypass perhaps on the north side of Smithville by that arrow. And the meeting that the Public Information Center that I was at, Mayor Joyner was at it as well, Madam Chair. And I got the impression that some of the study work is in regional budgets of the upcoming years. but I got the impression that there was no actual capital works in any of the budgets as of yet for construction of either a Smithville bypass or the escarpment crossing / Park Road upgrade. But Madam Chair, if possible, perhaps the mayor can even enlighten us, because he was there and was able to speak to a couple of points that were raised down in Grimsby at the night of the Public Information Center.
Sorry, what was
So
waiting?
thank you, Madam Chair. So to Councillor Bell's question, he's looking for timing. There is no timing, nor is there any money in any capital budget for a north-south escarpment crossing. The money that is in the budget is for the environmental assessment process, which is working its way through. And then combined with this municipal comprehensive review and the how we go, how we grow, and how we flow, this being how we go, of course, there will be recommendations that come out as to when to start to put away money in order to do the north-south escarpment crossing and the Smithville bypass.
Thank you. Councillor Bell?
I'm not likely to see this happen then,
Not by Easter, no.
not in my lifetime. Okay,
I point taken, and we only have to look to the NGTA or the Niagara corridor, Niagara to Toronto corridor, and that depends provincially on what provincial government pushes that. I get it. So, you know, for instance, some people are saying maybe by 2031 we'll see that Niagara corridor. The difference here is that all three mayors are pushing in the West End for this to be a topic of discussion. Obviously, Mayor Bentley and Mayor Easton are pushing because they're tired of the accidents that are happening as trucks are coming down and losing their brakes and going into churches and buildings and places like that. And you know, the chance of a fatality is great, and we don't want that. This mayor, based on the conversations that we've been having at this council, I'm pushing for it because that is going to be the way that trucks come up the escarpment and enter into our industrial park and then leave as well. So that is really high in our priority, this north-south escarpment crossing, for economic reasons.
Okay. We'll get the Mid-Peninsula Corridor about the day before.
We'll see.
Okay. You good?
I think that's a good point.
Moved by Councillor Bell and seconded by Councillor Rayner that item 1 be brought forward of the consent agenda. All in favor? That carries. And I do apologize. I need to go back to the agenda because I got a little off track. Okay. We have communications, and that is communications from the Royal Canadian Legion with regard to a senior citizens complex and the increasing number of affordable housing units required. So the recommendation is that the correspondence from Branch 393 Royal Canadian Legion Senior Citizens Complex dated February 24th, 2017, regarding increasing the number of affordable housing units for seniors in Smithville and requesting a list of potential sites be received. I need a mover. Councillor Bell and Councillor Gannan. Mayor Joyner, comments?
I would like to see, Madam Chair, that it, with the mover and the seconder, be received and supported, please.
Fine, so we'll support it, and so that would mean that we'd have staff provide a list of potential sites to the Royal Canadian Legion's senior citizens complex. I thought that was a given, that if we received it, we would get that to them. But anyway. Councillor Bell.
through you, Madam Chair, to Mayor Joyner, could we just possibly add to your recommendation? Like, I totally support this document.
You moved it, so if you'd like to do a friendly amendment,
Yeah, I would have, be okay with it. I totally support this recommendation, okay, and hopefully the council's gonna give this full blessing. And I'd like to recommend that staff work with the subcommittee of the Legion Villa and do whatever we can as a township and help move this project forward, finding some land for them. And if they still require assistance, work with them through this whole project.
we need to be careful on what we do there, Counselor Bell. We can work with them as much as we can, but, yeah. So that staff provide a list of the known potential property sites that might be advantageous for the Legion to look at, and that all assistance pertaining to the application and process advancement be provided by our staff. Okay? Is that amendment? And Councillor Gann, that's a friendly amendment from the mover and the seconder. All in favor? That motion carries. Okay, so staff reports. With regard to item P2517, a recommendation report regarding the Edmund Dakin file. Recommendation that PD 03617 regarding Edmund Dakin application for rezoning file number 1601-00117 dated March 13th, 2017 be received, that a septic inspection be completed and all septic and building requirements be met prior to the preparation of a recommendation report, and that the recommendation report be presented to a future Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting. I need a mover. Councillor Bilsma and Councillor Bell. Comments? Councillor Bilsma.
I just want to express one concern, and that's with regards to the septic. I know the little hamlet of Wellingford. I know where the particular site is. I don't want us to make the mistake that was made in Camden, where a couple of septic systems were allowed to fall into disrepair, and there was not enough sufficient room in the smallness of the hamlet to accommodate them, and they ended up with a great big bill because they had to take all their septic out of the town and pipe that down, and it was a long drawn out process, and some of you may or may not be aware of it. It took like a dozen years or whatever to resolve. So it was very concerning. I'm very concerned that we don't just squeak a septic system approval out of this, but that it's very firmly established. I know the people's integrity is on the line, but sometimes we just kind of, and then all of a sudden we end up with a problem, and it's huge because it's compounded. We have a wet year or something like that, and the load is not there. So through you, I guess I just want to get that comment on the floor, that we make sure that we're meeting legitimately the septic approval or septic requirements for this very small property. We understand it's a small property.
And to that point, so Mr. Treble, with regard to that point, our septic inspectors are aware of the different types of septic processing things now. They're not just a septic bed that run beyond the limits of a property. Am I correct?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes. Lyle Killens is very up on some of the latest in technology that is out there that can handle tertiary treatment and that kind of angles. Couple that, though, with the fact that this is an existing lot of record with an existing building on it. There will be some way that septic can be accommodated on this lot, whether it's tertiary, whether it's a holding tank. That's not answered yet. That's part of why we've said let's defer it until Lyle gets involved and makes some recommendations.
Okay.
I'm good with that. Yep.
Okay. All in favor? That motion carries. Did you get that, Joy? Okay. With regard to the draft secondary plan text and mapping for the Northwest Quadrant, the recommendation on PD 2617 is that report PD 04117 regarding draft secondary plan text and mapping for the Northwest Quadrant file 1701-00416 dated March 13th, 2017 be received, and two, that the staff present a recommendation report to a future committee and council meeting once all public and agency comments have been reviewed and considered. I need a mover. Mayor Joyner, Councillor Gann. Comments, Councillor Mayor Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Treble, I'm just looking for a timeline here. When do you think that this will come back? Are we talking 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days?
Initially, my goal was to, through you, Madam Chair, was to have a report to you by May at the latest. I'll have to check with Mr. Curry to see what additional steps he feels will be required beyond tonight. Certainly, we have to reach out to the region. I think that was clear, and to CP once again, that is also clear. So I probably am not at liberty to give you a
No.
commitment tonight, but I'm still optimistic I can be here by May.
Okay,
That's
that's
my
fair.
kind of my goal.
So the discussions, if the Greek Community Hall get a planner and there's a decision on road realignments, et cetera, don't make you think that you need to go to a number 4 planning meeting or public meeting.
Through you, Madam Chair, I feel that we had a very good discussion tonight, so that the public input has been received.
Okay. I think that was the nature of our concern. Other questions? Okay. Councillor Rayner.
Thank you. Through you to Mr. Treble. Mr. Treble, when you do this report, you'll be obviously looking at the best interest of the township and not of Mr. Aaron's presentation, which is one biased towards the developer.
Okay, Councillor, we're gonna not get
Well, no, it's a public meeting, and Mr. Aaron's made a presentation.
No,
that
we're
was
beyond the public
obviously
meeting.
very biased towards who he represents and he's paid for. So I just want to make sure that the township of West Lincoln looks after the best interest of the taxpayers.
Councillor, we're beyond the public meeting. All the questions have been answered, and you're absolutely right. Our staff are there to act in an unbiased way to take all of the measured comments that were made. And certainly Mr. Arians did what his client needed to do, and I believe that our consultant did what he had to do. So somewhere between now and when Mr. Treble comes back, we are going to have what our staff and the region agree will be suitable for West Lincoln.
That's what I'm after.
That's what we're going to
Thank you
have.
very much.
You are very welcome. With regard to P2717, a technical report regarding ExploreNet.
Oh, we should vote, please.
Oh, did we not? We didn't vote on that one. Haha, sorry. All right, all in favor?
I said that too.
Well, the clerk was even not sure.
Okay, now you agree
All
with
in
it.
favor? That one carries. Okay, with regard to
Took a second to-
it's getting late, I know,
Drain.
Councillor Rayner.
all.
We're working on this. With regard to P2717, which is the ExploreNet Communications public meeting, the recommendation is that PD 03517 regarding ExploreNet Communications Inc. public meeting dated March 13th, 2017 be received, and that a recommendation report will be presented to committee at a future meeting once all agency and public comments have been analyzed. I need a mover. Councillor Gannan, Councillor Bell. Any comments?
I don't know. Well,
Okay.
you think I might have?
I'm just checking. You wanted to have, I thought you wanted to put a third recommendation in there.
No, Madam
Okay.
Chair, my pigeons are roosting. It's late.
All right, all in favor? That motion carries. Item P2817, with regard to the Township's Wind Turbine Public Advisory Committee. This recommendation is looking for 2 councillors to make themselves available to travel to the wonderful township of, thank you, Chesley. Yes, it wasn't in the recommendation. Okay. That PDO 12, and I'll stop to allow for input, PDO 1217 regarding appointments to multi-municipal working group related to industrial wind turbines and the Township's Wind Turbine Public Advisory Committee dated March 13th be received, and that the Planning, Building, and Environmental Committee hereby appoint 2 councillors to the multi-municipal working group related to the industrial wind turbines for the remainder of this term of council. If I could put that without the names on the table, we could then talk about anybody who wishes to be first at the gate.
Question when it comes to
Could we get it on the table? Councillor Bilsma and Councillor Gannan. Okay. Let's ask the questions first. Councillor Bell.
Okay, I have 3 things, I guess. In the background, I'll just go to number 3. It says a contract information or contact information for the Ministry of Environment and the Climate Change, MOECC, and each wind turbine project be placed on the township website such that the public is informed on where the complaints can be lodged. I guess the one section after the MOECC, the part that says, and each wind turbine project, and the section such that the public is informed on where the complaints can be lodged. The contact information of the Ministry of Environment and the Climate Change of the MOECC be placed on the township website, because that's where they're gonna lodge your complaints. You don't need the locations of where all the turbines are placed in the township.
I think, just for clarification on that particular point, I don't think that was Mr. Treble's intention, but Mr. Treble?
No, the requirement, as I understand it through Madam Chair, is that when a complaint is lodged, they lodge the complaint with the Ministry of the Environment and with the wind turbine proponent. They have to notify both the owner of the turbine as well as MOE. So there's two different ownership groups in this township. Both of those ownership contact information pieces are supposed to be on the web, along with the ministry's contact info.
Just wonder maybe we can clean it up so it's not confusing. It
Sure.
Sounds like that the sites be placed on there, maybe just make a point A, point B or something, contact.
We can take that under advisement, and the minutes will reflect a clarification, if that was where you were going with that.
And my second point is under current situation,
Hold it.
the multi-municipality working group has met for many years, and it has a current membership base that includes many municipalities. The current membership list gives all the names. We're asking to appoint 2 counselors. Do all these municipalities have 2 counselors from each municipality as
They all-
part of this group?
They're a very, very elite group, Councilor Bell, and I went over this with Mr. Treble, so I'll try and answer that as much as possible. They are precise, not elite, precise. And you appoint 2, and it's only those 2. And so you have one person that goes and a backup, and you're allowed to take 1 staff support person, but that person's not allowed to ask questions or participate.
So he's there as an observer, okay.
It's there, I guess, to back up if case there's information being gathered from the council member that might need to be enhanced by fact from the staff.
So basically what happens then is when they have a meeting, one of the 2 counselors goes with a staff member.
With staff, or maybe not the staff member, if it's just to participate. I think the big thing about the multi-municipal working group is that it has been recognized by AMO, and it has had opportunity to get some information, perhaps a little ahead of where we get it. So the idea of belonging, even if we weren't able to attend all the meetings, would be that we would then be circulated and included in any of the information that's coming out. So we could share it with council.
No, I'm good with it, I just wanted to clarify.
No,
those points.
and that's what we've learned, trying to decide whether or not to join.
And when the time comes, I'd like to put forth 2 candidates.
That was your third point?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Back to you.
Oh, that's good. I would personally say that through you, Madam Chair, yourself and Councilor Bills may be the 2 representatives from council, because you are involved with the PAC and you pretty much know what's going on. So I'd like to
I appreciate
nominate-
that, but this isn't Vegas.
Okay,
Okay,
I'd
just-
like
I
to
just-
nominate you two.
I just want you to know that if
That's the
something's
2
going to
I would like-
Vegas, it would be.
That's the 2 I'd like to nominate, so yeah, I don't have a problem with this. This is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, so.
Seconder for that motion. Sorry?
Go ahead, second it. While you're
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's right. Councillor Gannan has seconded it, but Councillor Gannan seconded it without names in it, so are you okay with that?
I'm certainly okay with that, but are the 2 nominees acceptable to that? I think that's a big issue too, because the meetings are in
Chesley,
Chesley. If you didn't have to go to Chesley between November and
you wouldn't go.
April, you choose not to go there, but.
I think the staff member needs to be Mr. Carter, but.
Maybe so.
No,
Anyway.
Slippery Sam, you don't get to choose.
So I don't have a problem with changing that and seconding that nomination the way it is, but I just,
I don't think anyone on this council wants to go to Chesley in the middle of November or tonight. But I think I'd be delighted to serve. I say that because we've been through this, and I don't know, want to speak for Councillor Billsma, but I think if we can at least get our hands on the information, because we did just miss a meeting without a representative, but we will attempt to take turns to go up there. Counselor Bilsma, did you want to comment on your nomination?
Yes, I wouldn't use the word delight, but I would,
I have my tongue in my cheek.
yeah, I know. I would be honored and I would take the role very seriously, so I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay. Are there any other nominees? That motion is on the floor, people. We could defer it to the next meeting, or we could vote now. All in favor? That motion carries.
Good.
Congratulations, Councillor Bilsma.
You too, Councillor Chichak.
Whatever.
Congratulations to both of you. Thank you both.
I am so happy. I wasn't nearly as concerned until Councillor Ganan wanted to make sure I had snow tires a little earlier, but anyway, a recommendation report.
Or air miles.
I do, I have both. You're right.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, on that note, I think we're going to have the planning department's budget increased. Recommendation report on a budget amendment for the mileage to go to, a recommendation report for a budget amendment for the purchase of the building permit tracking inspection software. So there's a number of pieces of software being replaced right at the moment, as you well know, starting with the financial system. And this recommendation is that the Port PDO 4217 regarding a budget amendment purchasing a building permit tracking and inspection software and transfer funds from the building department reserve be received, and that council accept the quotation submission from Diamond Software, Inc. for the provision of a building permit tracking software in the amount of $19,912 plus HST, and that council accept if I could, that council accept the quotation submission from Diamond Software, Inc. for the provision of property standards tracking software in the amount of $7,280 plus HST, and that council accept the quotation submission from Noratech Solutions for the provision of building inspection software in the amount of $5,795.18 plus HST, and that council approve the total project cost of $57,644.62 for the supply of and installation of building permit tracking inspection software, as well as hardware and software required to implement additional recommended service improvements to the building department, and that council or committee approve a budget amendment of $57,644.62, which will be funded through a transfer from the building department reserve, which will be paid back through the collection of building permit fees, and that bylaws be passed authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter in agreements with Noratech Solutions and Diamond Software, Inc. Can I have a mover? Mayor, Councillor Bell and Councillor Ganan. I think he's got one, but go ahead, Councillor Bell. Never mind, he'll want to leave once he asks his question. Go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Mr. Trouble, to the building inspector. That's how it's going to go.
Bingo bongo.
Yeah. My question is, the system that you're looking at, you got two suppliers. Are they compatible with each other? I know you stated later in here that these systems are compatible with our finance department. Are these two systems compatible from the two suppliers?
Through Mr. Treble, through Mr.
That's okay.
Chichak, back to you, Mr. Bell. There is
Councillor
compatible. Oh, my apologies. There's compatible as Councillor Bell and Councillor Rayner. No, both of the softwares actually recommend each other as their complementary piece. One recognizes that they're better at the inspection side, whereas the other recognizes they're better on the tracking side. And they're both Canadian products, they're both out of BC, and they both work very closely with each other, and they have for a number of years. So we're pretty confident that the complementary nature of the two of them together will be quite successful for us.
Okay. He answered two questions. I only asked one. My second one was, where was it made? But thank you.
Now let's see if we can be as efficient on the next questions. Councillor Rayner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see this seems to come regularly the last little while. We seem to be in the electronics mode to get programs from everybody. It's almost as if we should belong to Microsoft or something and
Buy stock.
Yeah, like it seems to be crazy this year and like we blew almost $250,000 to satisfy the finance department and now we've got this one coming up. Although this one is paid through the collection of building permit fees, which is almost like a victim surcharge in court. But, question, why all of a sudden are these coming up? Like, if they were like a year or two apart, I kind of would understand, but they seem to be something that's just happening lately. Is this kind of a surge we're having in the township where everybody's got to be as up to date as we can and we've got to do it in the year 2017? Or why are these all coming up now? I mean, one of them, the one that we blew almost $250,000 for, went on for like 15 or 17 years before it was addressed. How long has this one been going on?
Well, Councillor Rayner, we have a reserve of close to $1 million for software in the township, if you look at the reserves. We've been building those over a number of years, and our staff have been very prudent in using the systems that have been in place up until now. And I think they've been very prudent also at looking at the compatibility. And if you notice, the building inspector is looking for software that, oh, I should give this to the CAO.
No, go on.
$5 after it's over?
Hey, I can go to that meeting.
All right, well, thank you. Come to Chesley with me. These people are in British Columbia, not Chesley. But the issue is because we're looking at Diamond again, it's an extension of the finance system. So if you look at the fact that all of these things can interface and can speak to one another, the idea of buying it and the prudence of our staff of putting money aside, this is the time probably to do it. The question is, do they have the resources to do it? And I believe the building inspectors just said this will simplify his life because they'll all talk to one another. So we are probably not going to save money, but we probably won't have to have as many people into the future as fast. But, you know, these are looked at efficiencies that'll.
So this is down the road, not now? There won't be any recognized benefits at this point?
I think if you were to look at your tax bill, you would find out you have
Oh, don't.
deficiencies in it. I know you don't want to look at it, but in future, our staff will have the fullness of their ability to comply with all the laws, whether it's the building or the planning department or our tax bills. And that's really what we're trying to do. Our staff are trying to get software that's addressing all of our failures. Did you want to speak to that,
Just-
Mr. Treble?
Councillor.
Well, you know.
Just one point, really briefly, Madam Chair. The one thing that we have struggled with is the best way to track enforcement-related matters, because they are a challenge and they don't necessarily make us any money, but we need to track them better so that we can be on top of the enforcement. And this will give us a method and a technique by which to do that. So that alone, I think, is an immediate improvement. The rest are longer-term things, and Jeff has been anxious to get us to a more electronically savvy position since he's been around, so it's...
So, and the one comment is that these all have the commonality of a roll number. So if somebody wants to buy something, all of the deficiencies, all of the work orders, everything will be outstanding and be traceable.
And simply the matter of, let's say we collect a $5,000 lot grading deposit at the time of occupancy, and we have to return that at some point, it's all done internal to the system. Jessica hits whatever buttons are needed, and then suddenly it's in the Treasury system to make it happen.
In 15 years, it won't be Jessica.
Say that again?
I said in 15 years, it won't be Jessica.
True enough. However, that position has a lot of paperwork shuffle that needs to happen, that this just makes it that much easier. And
So
tracking
through
it's
you
that
to
much
Jeff.
easier.
Jeff wanted to make a comment.
And back the same way. If you'll remember back to when I presented the building bylaw, I believe it was you, Madam Chair, who asked the question or posed the challenge to Brian and myself to ensure that we set our fees appropriately because we were on the verge of new development. And over the last number of months since we've passed that bylaw, fortunately, only a couple months or a couple weeks ago, but we have finally passed that bylaw. We did take those into account, and having the time to review where our fees are, it is the building reserve fund that is $1 million, and
Oh,
what
I'm
that
sorry.
is, and why that's important is because the Building Code Act dictates that any surplus that's had in the building department has to be kept within the building department and can only be spent on the building department. So a former director of finance that I used to work with used to call the building department the Vatican City. Whatever went in, stayed in, and never left. So the reality is we have a reserve that is $1 million. With that in place, there's no chance in the near future that we'll be looking to increase fees. There's no way we can substantiate that kind of thing. Not that it's something I'm pushing for, but the reality is we've collected this money, we have this reserve, and it would serve the municipality better if we were to be able to utilize some of those funds to improve our service without impacting the tax dollar, which is ultimately what we're proposing.
Watch it, you're opening the door to why didn't we spend it before and have more building inspectors and not have problems. So we won't go into that. Councillor Rayner.
You're having trouble with me tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. It's the fact that the mayor's sitting beside you and not Councillor Trombetta, but anyway,
Probably have to flex it.
okay.
Anyways, through you to the CAO, we have 3 directors, Finance, Planning, and Public Works. Finance has already got $250,000. Planning is now asking for nearly $60,000. Am I to expect, based on this trend, that Public Works has something in the works in the next 3 or 4 months that's also going to ask for something from software? Or is this just a fluke?
Madam Chair, through the members of council, right now I'm not aware of anything coming forward from Public Works. However, again, 3 months is a long way out, and technology and efficiencies are always part of our mandate to ensure that the residents are getting the proper service and the most current service available. So again, Madam Chair, between now and within 3 months, it might change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Through your leadership and direction, I'm sure if it's needed, we will hear from him.
Do you need a cell tower? No. Councillor Gannan.
I just want to sum up at this point in time, probably the same way I did when the financial software issue came forward, and that is we hire staff and we expect them to do the job. And I think that we need to give them the tools to do a good job. And if this is money spent that will ensure an easier job tracking, a more thorough job of keeping track of things, then I think that it's something that we need to do to support staff.
Thank you, Councillor Gannan. Councillor Bell.
Through you, Madam Chair. Since we've had our Surface Pros, we've been asking IT for a program where when we get our agendas, we can type into it. Program moves, they're looking at it. So are we going to spend more money on IT? I'm hoping so, because we're waiting for that program to come.
Excellent, excellent. This is completely off topic on the item on the agenda, but I'm glad to hear that you're nagging the CAO for improvements.
Yep. So did I say that?
No.
You ruined it.
Kabong. Okay, next. Next we'll be talking about raises for, no. Okay, so with the motion on the floor? All in favor? That motion carries. Okay, this has been a long night. I think it's the snow. Recommendation report with regard to the, I am.
See you, Jeff.
It's that report PDO 3317 regarding the proposed responses to public and agency comments on the new comprehensive zoning bylaw, file number 1601-00417 and file 1701-00117, the housekeeping official plan amendment dated March 13th be received, and that staff be authorized to provide written responses to outline proposed actions as identified in this report. I need a mover. Councillor Bilsman, Councillor Gannan. Comments, pardon me. Mr. Treble, what was it you wished us really to be doing with this?
Through you, Madam Chair, the public meeting for the new zoning bylaw was it last month or 2 months ago?
Last
now?
month.
Last month, I think. And there was a question posed by Mayor Joyner at the end to ask how we were going to deal with the comments that were received. So the report tonight is to simply outline how staff are proposing to respond back to the various comments we heard at the public meeting. and then to proceed forward, make changes as identified, and bring forward a recommendation report on the new zoning bylaw at a future planning committee meeting. So this summarizes the issues and some of the changes or not, and we'll go forward on the basis of that, hopefully.
Okay. Seeing no other comments, thank you very much, Mr. Treble. All in favor? That motion carries. I had to make sure we had a quorum. Okay, so, sorry.
That wasn't your fault, that was his. His dinged, yours didn't ding, his dinged. Mine didn't, I don't like it. Where are we?
Okay, with item P3117, that would be amendments to the procedural bylaw, number 2013-58, section 6.7, public comment at council, and section 1013, general rules. The recommendation is that report RFD C03-2017 dated March 13th regarding amendments to procedural bylaw 2013-58, section 6.7, public comment at council, and section 10.13, general rules be received, and 2, that section 6.7 of bylaw 2013-58 be amended by deleting section 6.7 and replacing it with the following new 6.7, which reads, there shall be no comments from the public permitted at council unless a specific appointment has been scheduled or an item is included under other business or communications or appointments section of the agenda and relates to a matter which would normally be dealt with at committee. And 2, where comments are permitted as per section 1B above, each individual person shall only be provided 5 minutes to address their issue. However, where a person wishes to discuss a planning application or matter that can be applied, will be permitted to speak for 10 minutes. And 3, that section 1013.13 of bylaw 2013-58 be amended to add a new section 10.13.6 as shown below. General rules, notwithstanding the provision of section 10.13 sub 5, specifically with respect to the provision that an individual person shall only be provided with 5 minutes to address their issue. A person who wishes to discuss a planning application or matter that can be appealed will be provided to speak for 10 minutes. I need a mover. Councillor Bilsma, I need a seconder. Yeah, I know you're done. Councillor Mayor Joyner. Comments? I have one. I believe that it was Mr. Arians, at least the way he explained it to me, was that he wished to be able to speak at planning committee. Not when an item was coming up, such like the official plan, that would be a bad example, a planning application where Mr. Arians is the proponent on the file. He wished not to have to advise planning committee 10 days in advance. He wanted to speak at planning committee as of right because he had an application there. And in case he missed the due date, he didn't want to have to get us to alter our procedures for planning committee. We've just provided him with access to go to council. Is that also going to give him access to come to planning committee?
Through you, Madam Chair, the one gives access to planning committee, the other gives access to council, where it's
Does
an
it?
other business item only.
So where do I see planning committee? Because I didn't think I read anything about that.
Yeah, I know. It
Oh,
says
6
public
point-
comment at council.
So 10.13 is committee.
Okay, that gives it to him.
Okay.
Okay, so notwithstanding that, that gives a provision, okay. I was too busy wondering where it came in. So we've,
Addressed like through the summer program where we have these conversation versus having committee.
okay.
Yes.
So this is, they get to do both.
And Madam Chair, the way it's structured is it's anybody that wants to speak
Yep.
to the matter, not just the applicant.
Understood. I read that in the report, was that we don't want to just give it to the guy who's presenting, but it then opens the door to anyone wishing to speak to a planning matter. Okay. Everybody fine? I apologize for my confusion. All in favor? That one carries. Okay. With regard to information report preliminary actions in planning process as a result of the consultant site plan review project. The recommendation is that PD 03217 regarding preliminary actions on planning processes as a result of the consultant's site plan review project dated March 13th, 2017 be received for information. Mover, Councillor Bell was scratching his ear, Councillor Ganaan, and Councillor Bell. All comments? All in favor? Your head was like this. Okay, other business, members of committee, starting with Councillor Rayner.
None at this time, thank you, Madam Chair.
No problem. Anyone else? Councillor Bilsma, did you want to say something? No.
He was scratching his ear.
No,
I know.
I did want to say something of an informative nature.
Well, I was just kind of going around and didn't see any hands. So
Yeah, no.
go for it, Councillor Bilsma. I'm sorry, Mr.
Well,
Meany, did you
just,
want-
I guess, some kind of public acknowledgement, and I don't know if there's something else planned at council, but the passing of former Mayor Lauren Nelson, so.
Yes.
He's a regular he's still out of
In the community. His funeral was last, yes. I do believe that it is tradition that we lowered the flag, I believe, for the day of his passing, and I do believe that we'll have a minute of silence or 2 minutes of silence
Yeah,
at council, which would be
council.
more appropriate.
So, I just wanted to say, he's a regular in the community events and still, not,
Absolutely.
I think, the last time I spoke to him was at the last Silverdale barbecue or something like that. He was
Yes.
still there and he was in fine health and spirits and he was vigorous and, so yeah, it came as a bit of a shock to hear that. So, and I think, most of us, know him from
somewhere.
yeah. So I just
Hey,
wanted to get that.
Former Mayor Nelson was a formidable figure within this community, and his passing will leave us with a hole that we will miss his presence, I'm sure, in meetings.
So that was it.
Thank you. Councillor Bilsma, I'm going to go to Councillor Bell, and I'll come back around.
Just further to what Councilor Bolton was saying, a word that was used at his service to describe him was colorful. He was a very colorful character, is the word that was used.
Character
He was
would be a
that,
good
for
word,
sure.
too.
The short time I know him, he was definitely that.
Absolutely.
He will be missed.
Absolutely.
Very good.
A community misses all of the history of anyone that has passed through its doors, so yes, we will all miss his presence. Councillor Rayner?
Thank you. I'm kind of in shock because I'm sorry I didn't know he passed. I've known Lauren for a long, long time, since I first came to West Lincoln in 1981. In 1982, I was building a building to raise chickens in, and I spoke to Lauren Nelson, and he said, you want to build it properly, you got to speak to my dad, Rymel. Rymel builds barns, he said, and he builds them the right way. So I brought Rymel over, and I still have that building today, and it's Fort Knox, and it's been moved 3 times on flatbed trucks with police escorts down the highway as I move from one farm to another, and they can't believe how strong it is. He's left a lot of good memories, and I'm very saddened by his passing. He was quite the man, and his dad was exactly the same way. This is
Agreed.
very sad.
A legacy.
Very sad. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rayner. And I think as a committee, and it'll certainly be taken up at council, but certainly to his wife and family, our deepest and most sincere condolences at the loss of someone who was so visible in the community and also such a part of as a family man. So thank you, and we'll deal with this again at council. Next, we move on to confidential matters. Okay, so Director of Planning and Building, we have legal matters, confidential report PD 04317, a site alteration related bylaw enforcement with the applicable closed session exemptions for dealing with it in closed are personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local employees, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. We'll deal with the recommendation when we rise and report, right? We also have item 3517, which is a legal bylaw enforcement issue, which allows us to go into close regarding the exemptions of personnel matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. We also have a few other items. P3617 takes us into closed regarding a building permit, and the applicable closed session exemptions are personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And P3717 takes us into close regarding a building permit issue, and the applicable closed session exemptions are personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before a municipal tribunal affecting municipal and or local board, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And P3817 is a legal matter regarding a purchase of and sale of township-owned lands, with the applicable closed session exemptions being a personnel matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local boards, and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposal of land by the municipality or a local board. And item P3917, which is again a legal matter to deal with industrial wind turbine project by FWRN LP Limited, and the road use agreement, and the applicable closed session exemptions are litigation or potential litigation, including matters before an administrative tribunal affecting the municipality or local board, and the security of the property of the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for those purposes. So I would like a motion to move into close. Councillor Bell, Councillor Bilsma, all in favor? That motion carries. Thank you. Move into closed. If you'll give a second to the clerk, she'll deal with the. Turn your mic up.
Make it quick, folks.